We've got a lot to cover today. The SEC can't stop suing crypto companies. Whale Alert's got some interesting movement in the crypto space right now. CIFR reported earnings today. I'd like to do an update on the Sol chart as well as a ticker roundup at the end of the video here to take a look at a few of our favorite tickers here on TradeCave. So first of all, I'm going to look at this article here about the SEC. They can't stop suing crypto companies. So as you probably know by now, the SEC is now suing Robinhood as well. So what does that put their current count at? They're suing Coinbase, they're suing Uniswap, they're suing Robinhood, they're suing, who else are they suing? They're suing everybody. But this is a new one. So they're suing Robinhood now as well for their crypto offerings in the past. Expect to see this have some sort of, impact on the crypto market, something to be aware of. I don't think it's going to be catastrophic or anything, but it is likely to cause some issues here. All right, whale alert. So in the last 20 hours, there's been some very interesting movement here. I'm going to skip the USD stuff. Let's see. I'm going to start right here. 19 hours ago, we've been seeing a lot of this particular sort of movement right here. Crypto's moving from unknown wallets to exchanges, which means some big whales are getting positioned to potentially sell some of their crypto. Here you can see right there, 19 hours ago, over 25,000 ETH moved to Coinbase Institutional. We had let's see, USDC moved to Coinbase Institutional. I mean, there's also a lot of USDC moving to Coinbase Institutional and some other exchanges, which will likely snap up a lot of that crypto that ends up being sold. So it might be a zero-sum game, but it's just something I like to look at occasionally. You can see here, 26 million XRP moved to Bitstamp 17 hours ago, 10,000 ETH to Robinhood, 40 million Doge to Robinhood, some ridiculous number of Pepe to Binance, more USDC to Binance, Coinbase Institutional sold to Coinbase, so 300,000 sold to Coinbase, another 300,000 sold to Coinbase, 1.5 million sold to Coinbase. Somebody's looking to dump some Sol here on a big move. 300,000 sold to Coinbase just in this little block right here 7 hours ago. Over 2 million Sol were moved to Coinbase. So keep an eye on the Sol chart, which is why we're going to look at the Sol chart today, is because I saw all these alerts here. There's more to it, I believe, up ahead. 11,000 Ethereum moved to Coinbase. And let's see, 9,000, no, that's unknown wallet. Unknown wallet, let's see, 260,000 Sol moved to Kraken 28 minutes ago. So that's why we're going to look at the Sol chart today. Where are they going to sell this stuff? And I have an idea of where they're going to sell this stuff. So an area to watch out for. Okay, let's look at the Sol chart and see where we think that Solana might sell off with all of this Solana moving to the exchanges. Let me turn off some lines here. Let's just get pure price action to take a look at this. Oh, hey, that kind of happened. All right, remember when I drew this downward line and I locked it down a while ago? It did it, but it did it slightly lower. Let me see. Let me drag it down a little bit. Oh, wow, it did exactly the move I wanted to see. Let me just get it a little bit like right there. Yeah, exactly the move I wanted to see. It even kind of came below it a little bit. It stayed like nicely in that channel. I love technical analysis. It's amazing. Anyways, let's do some more. Let's get right again. So where do I think that Solana could potentially be selling off here? Now, 7 hours ago, quite a lot of Solana is moving to exchanges and is still currently moving to exchanges in large volumes. What are we seeing on the chart right now? Let's turn off all the drawings. What do we see right here from April 13th until today? Give you a second. We see a double bottom. We're seeing a double bottom right here. Let me get the drawings back on. We got a bottom right here and right here. Where's our midline? I've already drawn it on here. The midline is at $160.34. That's the midline. Price needs to get above that in order to confirm that this is a double bottom. Otherwise, this is just some weird, ugly flag. So it's got to get above $160.34, and then it becomes a double bottom. Once it does that, once it gets above that price, this little cloud right here is where I'm expecting to see some significant pushback, and that is from the range of 166 up to 172. I'm expecting to see some selling pressure in that zone, which is the bottom of these quite a few wicks here from the top in the past. This is where big boys are going to start selling a little bit. Like they don't time the top perfectly. They're just making profit. And who knows when they bought this SOL? This could be $8 SOL that they're selling for $160. That's a pretty sweet return. I can tell you I have a decent bag of $8 SOL that is in an amazing amount of profit right now. I'd be making a ton of money selling it even at its current levels. So don't think that they're trying to wait for 210 again. They'll sell anywhere up here. They want to see if it's going to confirm. So I bet you a lot of them are waiting to see if price confirms above this 160. We're going to see pressure at this 160 level. That is where I expect to see some pressure, some of these whales selling because they're not sure if this pattern is going to play out or not, and they don't want to wait for it to come all the way back to $120 before selling any or before missing out on the opportunity. Okay. Also notice how price on this around this level between 118 and 126, that's the bottom. That is the bottom for SOL. And it has been since April, really. I mean, honestly, it really has been since March, since early March. That has been like the bottom area. That's where this came and flagged and made it into a bottom right there. Turn that into the bottom back in March. I don't think we're going to go back through that anytime soon unless something catastrophic happens. I do think if we fail at this double bottom here, that this could come back and test the 120s again. That is very possible. I think that because we were seeing an ascending channel. We're seeing an ascending channel and a larger descending channel. The top of that descending channel currently is at the bottom of my little box here at 166.92. Okay, that is why I think that we will likely see pressure one at 160 because of the double bottom pattern, and people don't want to wait to see it not confirm and then miss out on the opportunity to sell at that level. Okay, once we beat through those sellers, once we fight through those sellers, then we come up on the top of this descending channel, which is also where a lot of these wicks on the left here from this top are hanging out, waiting to bear down on us from 166.50 all the way up to 172.22. Once we get through this section right here and we get above this 172.62 area, then we're looking at coming up to around $200. And that's where we'll find our next big level of resistance. And then from there, it's the all-time or cycle high of $210 that we're looking to take out. So right now, we are in a cautious position, looking for this double bottom to play out, looking for a bull flag somewhere around 160 that plays out for a little while and then moves up to about 167 where it encounters resistance again and does maybe some sort of flag pattern. Maybe it comes back and tests 160, which would be coming back to test the midline of the double bottom. And then from there, we'll be looking for a move up. Let's see if the SMAs confirm any of this for us. Okay, so the 50 SMA, guess where it is? It's right above that 160.34 level, right above that level where I said we'd hit resistance. Beautiful. That's where that means that is going to be a zone of resistance. I promise you that when we get there, the 5 is going to be, where's the 5 right now? Let me turn off my drawings. Yeah, the 5 is going to be right where we want it to be for support. Here is where we'll be looking for. We'll be looking for that 5 as support if we run into the 50 and don't charge up. We already rejected before we got close to it, so that's something to take into consideration. Let's look at the weekly now. See how the weekly looks like. Where are we on the weekly? On the weekly, honestly, everything's below us on the weekly. We're above everything on the weekly. So support on the weekly, again, is where that 5 was on the daily, which is going to be about 130-ish level. Notice on the weekly how everything below 138 is just wick on the weekly. It's all just wick, meaning that anywhere from 138 all the way down to 118, that is basically the bottom for now, unless it gets broken through. Now the weekly is a little more scary with the way that this has formed, right? We got that flat top, that distribution top came down, scooped up. This looks like it could end up being either a continuation pattern if we get below the 20-week SMA at 132, which would be very, very scary. We'd very likely, very quickly come down to about $90 if we broke that. I don't think we're going to break that, but we could. Keep that in mind. down to 90 is like our ultimate scary bottom right now for SOL. Currently, we are going to hit resistance at 160, then again at 166, and that's going to go all the way up to 172 before we have a chance at 200. But I do think we have a chance. Now, some big whales are coming in to take their profits here, and that's okay. That's normal. That's just going to create the liquidity needed to do a back test, maybe on the 20-day moving average, right? Which currently is about 143-ish area. And then from there, we could potentially move up. We'll see though, but right now I'm watching this double bottom. I want to see it get above and hold above 160 before it even has a shot at going up into the higher 100s and maybe even into the 200s again on Solana. Okay, CIFR. CIFR announced earnings today. Let me turn off some drawings here. I have so many drawings all the time. Boom, boom, there we go. All right, CIFR is an ugly chart right now. Let me clean this up a little bit for us. All right, got rid of that. That's fine. This one, we're still in this one. This one, we've been out of for a while. This one, we've also been out of for a while. Okay, we're cleaned up on the CIFR chart. We're down 5.82% today. Now, they were profitable. Earnings per share were 13 cents. They were an estimate of 0.001% was the estimate for their earnings in terms of their earnings per share. They beat that by 13,000%. That is amazing. That is fantastic. But the revenue came in weak at -4%. Like they just barely missed their revenue. And look at what it did. It was punishing a little bit. I mean, we opened up all the way down at $4 basically, but it's been charging up from there. Now I think we're going to vacillate in this area for a little while before we start really getting the benefit of seeing like, oh, they were actually profitable. So the two mining companies that have reported so far beat on earnings per share, missed on revenue. So they were profitable, but didn't make as much revenue as was expected. And that's why they got a little bit punished on it. But I do still see this as a positive thing, a potential charge up on these stocks. Now, today we're going to be a little bit punished for that. So I wanted to look at the warrants this morning. I'm not sure what's going on here. There's no price listing for today. This only candle here is May 6th. Nothing is showing up for May 7. When I look at my brokerage, it's just showing that it's $1.22, but showing 0% movement on the day. So I don't know if that means that there has been no volume for the day. I'm not exactly sure what that means or what's going on there. I find that a little bit strange. It's a little bit ominous. I'll have to investigate that for later. Now let's move on to CleanSpark. CleanSpark's actually at 0% today, minus 0 points. It's fluctuating at 0% today. Let's turn back on our drawings. Let's have a look at what is going on here. What is all this? Oh yeah, that's right. I drew that a while ago. You know what? Do I want to keep that on there? Sure, I'll leave it on there. We'll see what happens with that fib retracement that I got on there. We still need to get at $18. We're still battling $18 on CleanSpark. It needs to get above this thing. We keep getting wicks into it, and they don't hold. Now, this is a bit of a signal that if we can hold where we currently are without going any lower, perhaps we can get ourselves above $18. But really, that's the battle zone, $18. Let's take a look at Mara. What's Mara up to today? It is down 1.4%. I did sell one call that I had yesterday with Mara. I had bought a like out of the money January expiration that was up 30% in a couple of days. So usually if I'm up 30% in a few days, I sell to see, at least on options anyways, if I'm up that much in a couple of days, I'll sell them and then see if the stock cools off after a couple of days and then buy it back again. That's usually what I'll do. I'll rinse and repeat that kind of move. And I did do that on Mara yesterday afternoon, sold the call, made the 30%, and now I'm going to wait a couple of days to see if it cools off. Maybe it just comes down to this 1980 level. Maybe it comes back down into the 18s or so, at which point I may consider picking that call back up again and holding that through the summer session. We'll see. We are out of this descending line here, this descending channel right now on Mara, and we are holding out of it. If we hold out of it above $19.80, I am looking at it as a bull flag, which is coming off of the double bottom right here from April 12th to 22nd, and then from the 30th to May 3rd, we have a bottom, and we are 1980. 1980 again is the center point, the midpoint for that double bottom. Now we've seen this before. We've seen this exact move before right here from back in January. We had a bottom that bottomed out at 1550. We came right up to the 1980 level. Then we came down again to 1460 to make a second bottom, which became a double bottom. And off of that double bottom, we moved all the way up very, very quickly to $30 before seeing any kind of reversal on it. Now, in this double bottom scenario, you can see that on the one in January, we came right up to where we had resistance, which was 24.93, right? We came up into that resistance zone. We shot past it a little bit up to 27 before getting a little resistance and then charging up once more. Now, in this double bottom scenario, we have a lot of resistance right here between 23 and honestly, 23 and 21. So this one has a little more resistance that it has to get through. So I do think we're going to see a bit of a flagging pattern going into this little zone here between 21 and 23. If we're able to get above 23 in that situation, we're looking at coming back up into the high 20s very quickly off of this double bottom. And I think that's playing out nicely for a late May sort of move. For a late May sort of move, I think we're looking at potentially coming back up to the top of this ascending channel here, this one that I just clicked on, that one, which has a top here around $28. I'm looking for a late May, mid-June move up to around the high 20s on Marathon, assuming that this becomes a bull flag and then gets up and above that $23 level. And this is, in fact, a double bottom. That's what we're looking for on Mara. On the downside, we would find support again around $17 once more, and ultimate bottom around 14.59, just like we've done 3 times in the past, starting all the way in December. So keep an eye on that. 14.64 is the ultimate bottom. We will have support around $17. If we hold over 19.80, we have a chance to go up to $23, where we have 21 to 23 as our resistance. Above $23, we're going straight up to the high 20s, maybe even back into the 30s on Mara. Take a look at RIOT. What is RIOT doing today? It is minus 3.81%. RIOT can never catch a break. It's always having a hard time. We are getting trapped in this zone between $10 and $11. It really needs to make a move out of this space. It too looks like it wants to create some sort of double bottom here, with the bottom being around 960, a midline here at 11.18, and perhaps maybe another bottom around like $10 flat or something. And then from here, I'd be expecting to have come into this area and then move up, flag a little bit around $11, and then move up towards about 12.50. There's some sort of move like that with that beautiful line that I've just drawn there on the chart. That's what we're looking at potentially. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping this ascending channel doesn't just break into another leg down to fill this gap down here to 913. That would really suck. But we'll see. RIOT will need some good news to prevent that sort of move. So RIOT could come down to $9.14, maybe find an ultimate bottom again at around $8 right now off of this this ascending channel that it started May 1st to May 6th. If we break down, I mean, we're out of it now. So if it comes down, it could come all the way to 964 before finding any support. And if it doesn't find any support there, we could be looking at $8 again on RIOT. If we get up and above $10.39, we are looking at coming right back up to about that 1240 zone. So we're getting trapped in a zone again on RIOT. Let's take a look at BitFarms. BitFarms, again, not looking too bad, actually. We're down 1% today. We're right at $1.90 on BitFarms. We are looking like we're trying to make some sort of bull flag. We need to get up and above $1.98. Really, realistically, we need to get above $2 to have a chance at, again, another double bottom here. The first bottom on April 16th at 168, that second bottom at 171 on May 1st. And from here, we need to get above $2.14 to make that a double bottom. But of course, we are immediately going to hit some pretty intense resistance on BitFarms here. Once we get above that double bottom area, there is a lot of resistance from $2.14 all the way up to $2.34. Once we're above $2.34, though, once we've reached that, $2.50 is going to come quickly, and then over $2.50, $3 is going to come very fast once we fight through all of that resistance. So we got to fight ahead of us all the way up to $2.34. Then we shoot up to $2.50. $2.50 is light resistance. From there, $3 here we come. In terms of going down, we are looking at coming right back down to that 165 level. And if we break that all the way down to 125, is what waits below us on Bitfarms. Let's take a look at Bit Digital today. What's going on with Bit Digital? They still don't know when their earnings are. They're saying that it was yesterday and now it's today, and then it was last week. TradingView, you don't know when Bit Digital's earnings are. Just admit you don't know. We are currently in an ascending channel here on Bit Digital, making higher highs and higher lows. So we had a low on April 17th at 173. We came up to 233 on it. Then we came down to make a higher low at 190. We didn't quite make a higher high, actually. We came to about the same high. So that might not be amazing, actually, now that I look at it. Oof, it's not the best chart. It looks like it wants to go sideways. It looks like it wants to do this exact same thing that it was doing last Q4, honestly. Last end of Q3 into Q4, creating a base near the bottom. Now it's a much more volatile base than it was back then, but it wants to create a base before we start going into an accelerated upward pattern on Bit Digital. So right now, it's honestly just in a holding pattern. I have been accumulating in this zone. Of course, this is not financial advice, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever, but I have been accumulating in this zone here for a while. And that's all that's going on with Bit Digital right now. It's just going to accumulate until it rockets. That's really all that it's going to be doing for now. Now let's move on to Palantir. Now it's down 12.77% today, even though it absolutely beat its earnings. It wasn't like an amazing beat, but it was a beat, and it's been beating its earnings like for the last 2 in a row, and then it didn't beat on Q2 in 2023. It didn't beat. That was the last time it didn't beat, but it normally beats its earnings. Usually when it beats earnings, it gets a big gap up, but we got that gap up early this time around. That kind of sucks. There's a lot of stuff to look at here with Palantir now. I think 21 is going to be a pretty strong level. It's right at the bottom of this ascending channel. This is an area where I'm looking at accumulating more, and I have been buying more. I sold my covered calls this morning for like a 70% profit, which was pretty nice. And I used those, the revenue, the premiums from that to buy more Palantir. That's what I've been doing. I've been using my premiums to accumulate more Palantir so I can get more premium. That's the wheel strategy. We'll talk about that in another video, actually, about how you could live off of your Palantir or any other stock that you have for that matter. So anyways, what are we looking at currently for Palantir? It is looking like it is going to, I think 21 is going to hold for now. If 21 does not hold, we're coming all the way down to $20. Right? 21 doesn't hold, we're coming to $20. That's just the reality of it. We are in an ascending channel right now. And if that breaks, we're coming down to this line, right? All the way down here, which currently would be around $20.81. If that doesn't hold, $20, here we come. Possibly even the 200-day moving average down at $19. That is what could happen on Palantir right now. But I do think 21 will hold. I think 21 will hold because 21 or just above 21 is where the 20-week moving average is. Let me turn off my drawings here on Palantir. If you remember, we've been talking about this before, how like the weekly SMAs are pretty strong support levels or resistance levels if you're below it. Right now we're above it. We have been using the 20-week SMA as a support level since January. And we've come back to it once, twice, 3 times. Now we're coming back to it a 4th time. We might get stuck to it for a little while like we did back in January, like we did back in August 2023, like we did back in January 2023. So it's been over a year that we've been using this as support, as a level of support as we stair step up this thing. We're just at the next plateau. I think we're going to see something very similar to what we saw from June 2023 until about January 2024, about a 6-month period, where it's kind of slightly grinding up, but mostly staying sideways along that 20-week moving average until we're able to get out and above. Like we have to build some liquidity in order to break out and above 27, even $30, from 27 to $30. Once we're above that though, sky's the limit. We could be going back up to into the 40s on Palantir, especially if they get into the S&P 500, which they should be doing quite soon, assuming they continue to get positive earnings. So as long as their earnings continues to be positive, they will be added to the S&P 500. When that happens, we're going back into the 45s very, very quickly on that. But I do think that the 20-week SMA is going to hold as support. We might, since the 50 is so close, we might wick down and tap the 50, which is conveniently at $18.50. And by the time we get to it, we'll be around $19 on the 50, which 19 I think will be the hardest level of support for this, if it even has a chance of getting down there. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to draw a straight line. I'm going to make that straight line at $19. And I'm going to make that one green because that is where I'd be buying a bag of this. So we're looking at 21, 20, and then 19. I don't think it'll go lower than 19. If it does go lower than 19, we're likely to fall very far, possibly down to $15 on this thing if that happens. I don't think it will, but if it does, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at coming all the way down there. Let me get rid of that line, that line. I leave this ascending channel. I'll leave that ascending channel for now. We did break this descending channel though, and so we were currently on a weekly time frame in a descending channel, right there. We broke that channel, came all the way back to the bottom of this ascending channel. We're slightly back in that descending channel. If we can get out and above it and stay in this ascending channel, we were very likely going to just kind of bounce around between $20 and $25. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at potentially just kind of moving around between $20 and $25 in Palantir for a little while. And that's all I've got there. Take a look at ARM. What's ARM up to today? ARM is actually up. This is weekly. Let's see the daily. It is up 0.1%. Now, I did close out my cash secured put on ARM yesterday when it came up to $108. I ended up making 70% of the premium off of that. I was very happy with that. Now, I could have made 80 or 90% of it this morning at 110, but that is okay. I'm not super upset about that. So for now, I'm looking for, let me turn on my SMAs. I'm looking for a return to the 5 around $102. If it comes back to the 5 at $102, I'd be looking for selling another about $95 or $96 cash secured put on this thing, and then again looking to sell it any time it becomes anywhere between 60 and 80% profitability. I'd be looking to sell it depending on how it looks. Now, if it continues to move up, now let's say the 20-day SMA becomes support and it continues to move up. If that is the case, in that situation, I would then just sell maybe an extra week out at again $96 or so, maybe 97, and then let it move up and collect my premium. And if it came all the way down to 96, I'd be pretty happy to own 100 shares of ARM at $96 personally. This is not financial advice, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. It's just what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this thing. Now, let me get rid of, I'll leave $80, 73, no, 64, no, that's not going to happen again. 88, no, 95, yes, and 100, yes, I'll leave that on there. And this is the ascending line. Let me get rid of this one. Okay, I just wanted to clean up my chart a little bit. I do think this green line here at 115 will represent a level of significant resistance where we run into that psychological level. We might come up to 120, which would be a real psychological level. That'll really hard to break again, but we'll watch it for now. Let's take a look at Tesla. I haven't talked about Tesla in a little while. So Tesla, although those are my day trading lines, let me get rid of those. So we're on the daily chart for Tesla. We're above the 50. Okay, we're above the 50. That's great. That's really good. This is looking very much like a bull flag right now where we're currently sitting, and it has been forming since April 30th. The 50 SMA at 173 is going to be our support level now. I am looking for this thing to come down. Let me do like a little freehand drawing here. Okay, what I'm looking for in Tesla right now is to move down to the 50 SMA, which would take it down to about 173. From 173, I am honestly looking for it to come back up to about 190-ish. Struggle a little bit. Maybe come back down to 185, 183-ish, and then from there, kind of go right back up to $200, maybe $205. That's what I'd be looking at right here, and I'd be looking for it to do this, to tap that right there. That's what I'm looking at. So I would, personally, I'm going to be looking for an entry around here. I'll make that white. I like my entries to be white. If I'm wrong, it's going to come down. It's likely, if I'm wrong, it's going to come back down to like 163. And that's where I'd be like, all right, well, I give up, or I'm going to hold longer. Hopefully I bought enough time to where I can hold longer. So that's what I'm looking at right now. So Tesla I think will come back down to the 50, which is currently around 173.81. It might be around 174. Let me draw that 174 before it starts coming around again. I do expect it at some point around summertime to come back up to 205. If this fails, we're coming right back down to the 20 at 167, maybe to the bottom of this area here around 163.38. That's what I'm looking for, and that's where I would look for it to either bounce, or if it's going to continue down, come all the way down to fill this gap down to 147. That would be like ultimate scary bottom. Let me make that really deep red. That's ultimate scary bottom right now. And then upward target 205 on Tesla. That's what we're looking at. Let's take a look at NVIDIA real quick. I haven't looked at NVIDIA in a little while either. NVIDIA. So look at what happened here. So we came down into our zone, broke it, and then we came up again. So I really should probably cover this more frequently. If you play this to the upside down on this little box that I put down here, you did exceptionally well. We moved all the way from 756 all the way up to 923. Again, honestly, we're going to run for all-time highs. I think we're going to run for all-time highs on NVIDIA again. Now, let's see, where's the 5? I do think we need to come back down to about 875-ish before we have a chance at running for those highs again. So again, I'll get my free hand here. I'll be looking at it to potentially come to about like this area, right, 870-ish. And then from there, start just charging on up. And then maybe if there's a good earnings, just that's what I'd be looking for on NVIDIA, right up to $1,000. Maybe I should have started. If this earnings is good, I'm looking for it to charge right into $1,000. If that earnings is good, but just barely beats, I'd be looking for it to be flat or even fall like every other stock has done this cycle. It's going to have to beat and beat convincingly in order to see it do that charge up to $1,000 on NVIDIA. So that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, and subscribe and have a profitable day.